well.
They say hello. I hope they cooperate.
I'm sure they will. So, Sober Market is a non and low alcoholic beer store. So, Shane, why did you want to open a non-alcoholic store?
Well, I decided to cut alcohol completely out of my life about just 3 years ago now, a little more.
Yeah.
And at that time, the options were pretty limited for non-alcoholic drinks. So I started looking all over the place, couldn't find what I wanted, and we decided to open our own store after we were ordering from around the world. And we haven't looked back since we did that.
It was definitely really tough years ago to be finding options. And there was a bit of a stigma too. If you went to a party or you were out with friends, I know as a woman that always turned to, well, why aren't you drinking? Are you pregnant? Like you couldn't just go out and not have a drink. It didn't seem socially acceptable for a really long time. So, what are your thoughts on the number of people that are cutting back now?
I agree with you. Having a drink in hand is almost ingrained in our society. And most of the time people just assume it should be alcoholic and then they ask questions if it isn't. So it's nice that the switch is happening and having a non-alcoholic drink that looks fancy and tastes good is acceptable now.
I know so my partner and I are doing Sober October. There's probably a lot of people out there that are trying to do that. We've tried Dry January, all of those. It's that time to kind of reset after the summer where it feels like maybe it was a little too easy to have that drink out on the patio. Shane, for you, what was it? Why did you want to cut back?
I personally never had a great relationship with alcohol. Ever since I turned 18 and tried it for the first time. I was not one of the kids who tried it before then. So, it was kind of a new thing to me at that time, and just society and my friend group, it just led to bad choices around alcohol from the moment I started drinking at 18. So at the time I stopped, we had our second child. June was born, and it was just time. I decided it was done for me. And now with 4 little ones, I couldn't imagine being tired in the morning or anything like that comes along with alcohol. So,
well, you guys are outnumbered. You got to be fresh.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read a couple texts that we got right now. We have somebody that says sober 14 years and feel great. Congratulations. That's amazing. 14 years. And another one saying, I have completely cut back on my alcohol consumption as of late, mostly due to the recommended weekly amount. And I have noticed a huge difference in my sleep quality and in my energy as well as pocketbook. That's from Diana. Diana, thank you so much for that. Jesse, I want to get to you a little bit here. One of the things that I found in years past when I've tried to kind of cut back on that, or I still wanted to kind of have a fancy looking drink, maybe I wanted to try some of those non-alcoholic drinks, there wasn't a lot of options. And the ones that were out there really didn't taste so good.
Very, very true. So the industry and the options have come so far in the last few years, but it is true. And unfortunately, I will be completely honest, I don't love the word mocktails more for the fact that it held such a negative connotation for so long, because everyone was just thinking when they thought of a non-alcoholic beer, there used to only be the one option at the grocery store. When they think of a mocktail, a lot of people think of just like the cranberry and soda, like the Shirley Temple option sort of deal. And there are so many options now, and we often get asked, well, are there gluten-free options? Are there low sugar options? Are there sugar-free options? Are there options without artificial chemicals, like artificial flavors and artificial dyes? Are there vegan options? And the answer to all of those questions is yes. There is an option for everyone's preference now. There are still, sugary options. There are still options that might not appeal to the masses. But the nice thing is because of where the industry has gone and because so many more people are being vocal about wanting them, there is something for everyone out there, which is we love.
Yeah. I want to hear from our listeners here. If you have a story you'd like to share, if you've cut back, if you've given up booze altogether, why you've done it, how you feel about it, give us a call, 204-780-0893, or you can be like Diana and send us a text, 204-588-7355. Jesse, you guys own the Sober Market. I actually had a chance to go in there this weekend. As I said, my partner and I are doing Sober October. And just like you said, the options seem to be kind of endless now. And one of the things that, like, I like the taste of wine. So is it hard to find something that replicates that taste but without the alcohol, and something that doesn't just taste like the juice that I give to my nephew?
So there's options out there. So one of the things we pride ourselves in store is we like to do a lot of education on, especially around the wines, because there are wine alternatives that were never an alcohol wine. And so they do come off as more juicy flavoring. However, a good portion of the wines that we carry in store are de-alkalized. So they were an alcohol wine. They've gone through an alcohol removal process. And now you're left with a de-alkalized wine. Do they still come off a little bit juicier? Absolutely they do. They are not an alcohol wine. But what you are looking for is essentially the essence of the wine. Nothing as far as a de-alkalized wine, there isn't that mimicking of the alcohol. Like, that's the biggest challenge. And one of the biggest challenges people experience, especially if you are a red wine drinker and you like a heavy, dry Cab or Merlot or Malbec, the mouthfeel and the weight of it isn't going to be there, because when you remove the alcohol, you remove the sugars and you remove the body of the wine. And so there is an adjustment period to if you are making the switch. But we do tell people that we have little tips and tricks on how to enjoy the non-alcoholic wine, so that you do get more of an authentic experience of what you're looking for without the alcohol.
What are some of those tips and tricks?
So for red wine in particular, the biggest thing is you want to drink it slightly chilled. So red wine traditionally should be consumed at cellar temperature. So slightly cooler than room temperature. So that will help with that juicy flavor, as well as aerating it as much as possible. So open that bottle. If you have a decanter or a bottle top aerator, use it to release any any of those vapors and everything that have been trapped in the bottle. And then also using an alcohol-free bitter is one way to also add some body, add some dimension, and dry the wine a little bit more. We just do like to caution people that there are bitters on the market, and the ones that you buy at the grocery store do contain alcohol. So just be sure to be checking your labels if you truly are looking for an alcohol-free experience.
Yeah, it's a good reminder. Shane, we heard from you a little bit about your relationship with alcohol and why it wasn't a positive one for you. Jesse, what about your relationship to alcohol? What was yours like?
Mine, so alcohol was always a big part of, like Shane said, our kind of social life. And so for me, I definitely was that individual who, sorry.
They're just joining the conversation.
Yeah. Well, it kind of speaks to the fact that I was the one that, would say, I've had a rough day with the babes. I need to sit and enjoy a glass of wine at the end of the night or two. And, sometimes, Dad's going to take them. And you know what? It became really challenging, because at first you treat it as, this is my way to relax. This is my way to release. This is my way to reward myself for a rough day. And in the end, it wasn't serving me. So I continued to drink alcohol for a year longer than Shane did. Usually it was wine, and it was usually kind of that end of the night, I want to unwind and I want to just kind of take the edge off. What I was finding, though, was it was doing the opposite. It was causing, I wasn't as patient with the kids. I found that I would be waking up frustrated if they were having a rough night. And it just wasn't serving my life and my parenting anymore, which became really, really hard. And then when you start to enter that phase, like, oh, maybe I should consider removing this from my life, and you do some reading and you read some blogs and you listen to some podcasts, and it's like, wow, I am not alone.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of parents have that when you talk about having to get up the next morning. It's that reminder, because you can feel it in your head, right, of the night before. And that was one of the reasons that we were looking to cut back, was that, you know, I'd come home from work the same as you would and said, oh, it's been a day. I could use a glass of wine. And I think we started becoming very dependent on that relationship, because it has been something that so many of us have seen for so long in our parents and in previous generations about there. So we want to hear from our listeners. Again, give us a call if you've cut back or you're finding it difficult, maybe. 204-780-0893. Again, you can text us, 204-588-7355. We had one text in, somebody saying they've been sober for 14 years, which is absolutely incredible. How did either of you start? Did you do it just kind of cold turkey, or was it just cutting back, doing that sober October or that dry January? What are some tips for how you guys did it?
I did it cold turkey, but I would do everything that way. It's just all in or not for me, no matter what it is. So that's the way it went for me.
Yeah. And for me, it was the same. And I did it very silently. Like, I didn't even tell Shane that I was done. I just very much sat on the couch one night after I put the kids to bed, and I had a bottle on the counter from the night or two before, whatever, and I poured myself that glass, and I said to myself, this is my last one. And I drank it. I can't even tell you if I enjoyed it, but I knew that I was done.
Yeah.
And that was kind of it. And it's like, the nice thing about it for me, don't mind the babes in the background. The nice thing about it for me was that Shane had already had alternatives in the house. And so my transition was a lot easier because I did have something to reach for. And in the end, I was enjoying what he was making himself way more than I was enjoying my glass of wine at that point.
Yeah, Jesse, so one of the things that I found, and maybe some of our listeners found this as well, was I just wanted something that kind of wasn't water. I still wanted it to feel something special. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it had to be something that was trying to be alcohol, like one of those non-alcoholic ciders or wines. Maybe it's a sparkling water with some flavor in it, or some of these other, the poppy beverages, or some of those type of things that we see that I know you guys sell as well. Is it all just kind of about having something a little special, maybe still putting it in a nice glass or garnishing it, doing something like that? I know has helped me. What about you guys? What do you tell your customers?
What I found is when you treat it that way, it's your brain almost considers it the exact same. It would have it is the same. So you're almost tricking yourself without realizing it, and your brain relaxes. It does all the same things it would have as if it was alcohol, just without the negative side effects.
For those who are joining us on YouTube, you can see, but those on the radio can't see. We've got Jesse and Shane here, and they're two little babes, so that's what you're hearing. Jesse, what beverages are you finding that are most popular with customers? Because you guys sure have a lot of them in there.
You know what? It ranges. The great thing about it, we get this question often. It's like, well, what are your most popular options? And the reality is because there are so many options now, whether it's a ready-to-drink cocktail, a beer, a wine, like you mentioned, items that don't mimic alcohol at all, or even the spirits. So the non-alcoholic whiskeys and tequilas and rums, because we can now cater to almost anyone's preference. It's become there. I can't necessarily say there is something that's more popular over the others. Definitely through the summer, we see an increase in grab and goes. So, ready to drink options and any kind of beverage that people can take with them. And the nice thing is you can take them anywhere. So you're going boating, you're going to the park. People like to kind of stock up and have something there. But as we move into fall, we're especially going into Thanksgiving weekend, we're seeing wine, like hosting things, right? So wine, and if there's usually a spirit, like the spiced rum, the dark spiced rums are going to come into more popularity now. We have, non-alcoholic scotches, and people are kind of looking now for those darker spirits, the at-home sippers, or, if they would normally make a cocktail at home, that's kind of what we're seeing a little bit more of an increase in now.
to maybe going to a housewarming or, like you said, Thanksgiving dinner that's coming up. We often reach for flowers or a bottle of something to bring to somebody's home. But nowadays, you don't know whether people are drinking or not. So that could be a really nice option to bring something other than that traditional bottle of red wine this Thanksgiving. The fact that we have more people cutting back when it comes to drinking and driving as well. I know there's more options out there now, but we're hearing from a lot of people that, they can still go out to a restaurant. You didn't like that term mocktail, but maybe they're trying something special without that alcohol. And it's just becoming safer all around for everybody.
It is. And I think more and more individuals, so it's almost becoming as common to have someone in your life who's been touched by whether an alcohol addiction or a negative impact of alcohol as it is almost cancer at this point. And so I feel that drinking and driving is something that people can control. And I think more people are becoming mindful of the areas that they can do. They absolutely can make that choice or find alternatives to, say, maybe enjoy one alcohol beverage, but then decide to choose an alternative for the rest of the evening to allow them to safely, transport themselves or loved ones, to and from wherever they're going. And so I think that that's just become a little bit more on the forefront.
When you have people come into the store, what are you hearing from them about why they're cutting back or quitting?
It is every reason under the sun. And I always like to make this very, very clear. Like, we never ask the reason, and it's no one's business. However, we do find that we are a safe space, and many people do come and share, why they're in store. But it can be everything from young adults, going to a party and wanting to remain safe. It can be someone who's received a health diagnosis, or their partner's received a health diagnosis and they're trying to support them in cutting back alcohol or removing alcohol. There's certain medications out there that now the interaction with alcohol, it's you need to completely cut it out. Family planning, the exhausted parent, all of that. We get it as much as even certain occupations that they have something to go to, but they're on call.
Yeah.
And they still want to enjoy something and want to be a part of whatever the gathering is, but knowing that, hey, if my pager goes off, I need to, get up and go, and I don't just want to drink water all night. So it's very interesting, because we get every reason and every demographic, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, people still want to feel included, and I really feel like the younger generation is moving this push towards that non-alcoholic drink and not stigmatizing things as much as it once was. Jessie, thank you so much. Shane has had to leave us to take care of.
He's just trying to keep the screecher. She tends to be very talkative.
Well, I want to thank you both, Shane and the littles, Shane and Jessie Halliburton. Thank you guys so much for joining us this afternoon. Really appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was Shane and Jessie Halliburton. They own the Sober Market. It's a non and low alcoholic beer store. Right now, they're running Sober October, which is a celebration of non-alcoholic excellence. It is 12:54 here. Manitoba's own Desiree Dorian just released her new EP. It's called Remember Your Name. Desiree says she wrote the release's title track as a way to reflect on her journey of rediscovering her past self and, more importantly, embracing who she is now. Here's Desiree Dorian with Remember Your Name.
When the lights go out and the dark rolls in, when your body's bruised and you just can't win, you scream out loud, but you have no voice. You had a dream, now you have a choice. Remember your name. Remember where you came from. Touch your skin, touch your face. Raise your head, take your place in the cold hard rain. Remember your name. Bathroom floor, just cry
with Remember Your Name. Her new EP of the same name is available now. Well, that's all for us today here on Radio Noon. I'm Brittany Greenslade, and I want to thank our tech, Marshall Hodgins, director, Wendy Parker, YouTube live stream, Kevin Nipatebo. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our listeners and everyone who